Welcome back. My name is Kit.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Streaming Things, streaming The Last of Us. This time it's episode 2 of season 2, Through the Valley. This is a big one, so full spoilers ahead. If you have not seen the episode, don't listen to a goddamn word of this. We're going to get into the nitty gritty.
Oh, man.
If you're newer to Streaming Things, we have all played the games. Steve and Andy have played the games several times. Huge fans.
Huge. Biggest fan you'll ever see, Andy.
I just started playing the games when the show came out. But we all have that kind of that background. I'm excited to get into this. I'm a little nervous to get your all's reaction to this episode. I have other close friends who are huge fans of this game that, you know, they have very rational, reasoned, measured opinions, but like ultimately didn't like a lot of stuff that happened in this episode. And I've been, of course, privy to some of the early reactions online. And I'm prepared for a heartbreak a little bit, but maybe I'm wrong. Because spoiler alert, was profoundly affected by this for different reasons. But yeah, we're going to talk about our overall thoughts on this episode, go around the table, and then do a scene-by-scene, play-by-play recap of exactly what went down. We've got some fun categories at the end. Our top 3 favorite moments, which again, I've forgotten what we're calling these. I'm not going to lie.
Firefly Moments.
Firefly. I wrote clicker stickers, and I was like...
Ooh, I like clicker stickers better, if I'm being honest, though.
Love it.
It doesn't even make any sense.
Which are our favorite episodes.
And then our bullets and pills.
Pills, baby!
So we're going to talk about all the Easter eggs and references to the game itself. You know, aside from the obvious, this whole thing is based on the games. And then our Outbreak Performance, our top favorite performance of the episode. We'll give that award to a particular actor. All of that is up ahead. So just sit tight and get ready for it. You can email the show at streamingthingspod@gmail.com. You can go to patreon.com/streamingthings to get access to episodes like this without any ads. And also bonus content like our Game of Thrones rewatch, our Midnight Mass rewatch, so much. I mean, we do honestly a ridiculous amount of bonus content for the patrons over there because we owe them our lives, quite frankly. Speaking of ads, just really briefly, ads are localized and automated. So we just tell the service where to put the ad, and they put whatever ad in there that they want based on where you live. With a caveat, we are supposed to have control over the types of ads that they put in there.
Yeah.
There was a recent update where some of our requests got unclicked or circumvented and some...
Yeah, they got wiped, so basically everything was up for grabs to throw in there, and we weren't aware of that.
Yeah, so there were some ads espousing views we do not support, and we are so sorry for that. Some specifically some mega churches that are very anti-humanity. And
got some Westboro shout outs.
Jonestown Kool-Aid, 50% off. We believe everybody has a right to live and be happy in this world. We are very, very pro LGBTQIA plus. You guys all know this, but newer listeners don't. And so their very first episode they're listening to, they get an ad for some horrible things. And we're very sorry for that. We have fixed that, we think, but thank you for those that reached out.
Yeah, let us know if that doesn't work. I was in contact with the people who do the ads for us on the back end and gave me a little piece of my mind. So let me know if that doesn't work so I can give them some more pieces of my mind.
Another piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next step is they get a piece of these hands. That's what Steve told me. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Just wanted to shout that out there for you guys. So I'm eager to get into the weeds with what you guys thought, your initial reaction. We never talk right after watching the episode, and I couldn't help it. I texted you guys to kind of get a feeler, and you guys gave me nothing, and I respect that. I respect that. Andy.
Yes.
What did you think of Through the Valley?
I thought that this episode was incredible. I knew what I was in for when it happened. Obviously, I haven't played the games, and I know the major plot beats. I thought maybe they would have saved the climax of this episode for the following, just because when you have Pedro Pascal, you want to use him as much as you can. And so I knew it was going to happen. I wasn't positive that it was going to happen this episode until they made it to the lodge. And then I thought, oh, okay, we're doing this. We're doing this today. I thought that it was genius to couple the climactic Joel and Abbey moment with this massive battle sequence happening in Jackson's Hole.
The battle over Jackson's Hole. Good versus evil, a tale as old as time.
They're breaching the hole.
So many people pouring into Jackson's Hole right now.
Who will manage to be on top?
I thought that it was genius to kind of begin with this, big storm that's blowing in, and thematically that's beautiful. And, there's everybody is in danger. Everybody that we know, everybody that we love is in danger in this episode. And to get this crazy climactic battle and this insane twist that forever changes what the story is and what it's going to be from here on out, to get all of that in episode 2 is crazy work. And I love it so much. I watched this episode with my soon-to-be wife, and she was blown away. And as soon as the credits rolled, I paused and just turned and looked at her. And I'm like, so what'd you think? She's like,
does she know the twist?
She did not know the twist. She's like, is he fucking dead? And I'm like, well, yeah, baby. He just got stabbed in the neck with a half of a golf club. I don't think he's going to survive that. And she says, what the hell is that? What the fuck? And I'm like, I know. She's like, I'm pissed. I'm like, but is it good pissed? Because
yeah, there's a difference.
The internet obviously reacted a certain kind of way when this happened in the games. And I was not on that side. I think that, I didn't like the red wedding either, but I understand why it happened. I think that it's good storytelling. And I think that it was necessary for the story that they wanted to tell in this season, in this second game, whatever. I think that they did an incredible job portraying that. It was very true to the story as they portrayed it in the games, with some changes, who's there, how certain things happen. Some bits of the dialogue are a little different, but overall, they did a phenomenal job recreating the scene, the tension, the heartbreak. They did a fantastic job with this episode, and I loved it.
Awesome. Steve, what about you, buddy?
I also love this episode. It was really, really fun to watch because as someone who's played the games, and by the way, how great is it that we were at this moment? Because this is the moment, when you try to talk about Last of Us Part 2 or the second season, this is coming fairly early in the story and you're kind of tiptoeing. We're like, what can we talk about? So, man, but I really appreciate it as someone who has played the game that this episode featured so much that was different. There were characters that were plucked out of scenes and replaced with other characters. There's this whole battle sequence that Andy mentioned before that's not in the game at all. And so as someone who played the game and kind of knows the story from there, I was very surprised to come across an episode where I didn't really know what was happening. It made the stakes completely different. And also it made me appreciate a lot of the changes that they've made so far to the story. Like we talked last week about how, some things that happened with Dina and Ellie happened later in the story. And at the time, I was like, that's an interesting choice. I think that works, though. But this episode really solidified my view. That was genius because they swapped Jesse in to where Dina is and vice versa in a couple of different places. And the way they did it and kind of lined it up with this other event of Jackson Hole being attacked by the horde, it really raised the stakes for everyone involved. It gave everyone agency and not just necessarily Ellie and Joel in that situation. So I thought that was really, really smart. They had such an impossible task heading into this episode specifically with the twist, the climax of what happens with Joel. It's not an enviable task, right? That's a moment that is just so important to the story and in gaming. And so how do you tackle this moment on screen? And I think they rose to the challenge. I think they were able to, they did it differently. And there are some things that I would be like, I like the game's execution better in that regard, but I like the show's execution better in this regard. I think both of them are equal and on equal footing. And I think that in and of itself is a huge undertaking and a huge success for this series so early on in the season. So my hat's off to them. I thought this was a great episode. Kit, what about you? What did you think?
I thought this was phenomenal. It's tough for me to even talk about it. Like you mentioned, the horde never gets anywhere near Jackson in the game. And so this whole kind of giant battle sequence that we get is completely changed and fabricated for the show. And what it does is it ramps up the tension so much. I felt unwell. Like it was like I have anxiety issues. So it's pretty dangerous for me. And you never know how far they're going to go or how far they're going to deviate from the games because, in the games, Tommy's with Joel and instead it's Dina and Dina's with Ellie and instead it's Jesse. And so they could fucking kill Tommy or something crazy for all I know. You know what I mean? Like they could kill Maria and it's just like they could for the show. So it's like there is tension there because you're like, it's technically possible, but it's also like a cool spectacle as well. It's like, holy shit. Like this is like big budget. This is Battle of the Bastards. This is some hard home shit, like
it does have that hard home vibe to it, doesn't it?
It does. And in fact, I was reading Decoding TV is Dave Chen's Substack. I highly recommend. And he did a kind of a recap of this episode and his reaction was a little bit less favorable. He's one of the people I was mentioning earlier, but ironically, we're less than a month away from like the 10th anniversary of Hard Home. And the fact that you have this zombie horde in the snow on HBO right as we approach that anniversary is pretty funny. But he thought it
what's incredible about that is on our Patreon, we just covered, later this week, we'll be releasing the episode of season 5, episode 4 of Game of Thrones, The Sons of the Harpy. That has the same director as this episode, Mark Mylod.
Mark Mylod, yeah.
Or Mylod, yeah. Yeah, same director. So so the comparisons is very understandable.
And we'll be at Hard Home again in like a month.
Yeah.
Almost exactly at the 10th anniversary. That's kind of crazy. But he thought it kind of detracted, from some of the strengths of season 1. And he took it more as a just spectacle kind of thing, like throwing in some high budget action for the peeps during this really important scene that took away from it. I really couldn't disagree more. I thought it kind of ramped up, and for people that somehow escaped spoilers this far into the show from the game, which have to exist, but I can't imagine it because people have been so fucking rude in the comments of every video about this game and TV show for years now. Oh, wait till you see what happens. Oh, he's going golfing. I have nothing else in life but to take joy from others. I think that for even for people that knew it was coming, it added some tension that wouldn't have otherwise been there. And then if you didn't, it kind of, it was like, look at the left hand, and then slap the shit out of you with the right hand. So on a personal level, they've set up this dynamic between Joel and Ellie, and they did this so expertly in one episode, because that's all we've gotten, that they've been kind of estranged for a while. She's feeling that he's lied to her, but doesn't know the specifics of it. There's a rift between them on top of the kind of normal rebellious feelings that you get at the age of, 17 to 20 or so. And so she's been really shitty to Joel for a while. And then she didn't get a chance to reconcile that. And now he's dead. And like the last thing that I said to my mother was awful. And she's gone forever. Right. And so it's like, that's a brutal feeling. So I'm just sitting there racked with sobs. And then these motherfuckers, these sadistic bastards, put Through the Valley in on the soundtrack, which is a song that in and of itself is so beautiful and morose, has always wrecked me anyway. Mm-hmm. But like, that was a knife on top of a golf club beating. You know what I mean? I was sitting there trying to recover and put a tourniquet on, and they were like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was just, I was devastated for a good hour or two after this episode. I thought, I'm going to watch Blue's Clues exclusively for a month. And the fact that it's
Bluey.
The fact that it's Pedro Pascal, again is so funny if you're a Game of Thrones fan.
Yeah.
If you think of it from like a meta context, like this motherfucker. Yeah, I thought it was beautifully done, and I really like the changes. I was reading another Substack, friend of the show, Clara Curtis. You should check out theirs. It's called Clara's Corner. And they were talking about how Tommy not being there adds a really interesting, because again, he's with Joel at the lodge in the games, adds a really interesting dynamic of guilt for his character. Like perhaps he's always going to wonder if he could have done something if he had gone to help.
Yeah, what they're doing with Tommy specifically in this episode, I'm really interested to see, because I completely agree with Clara 100% on that front. It really adds another dimension to Tommy's character, but also Tommy and Maria are like, they are Jackson, right? So having them be there to fight for Jackson and having it wrecked as bad as it is, that adds another layer to this character that I'm excited to see where they go forward with him. It's very interesting.
Dave Chen had a really funny joke in his Substack at the end. He was like, side point, I don't think they have to worry about the housing crisis in Jackson anymore.
That's good.
And it's funny. I'm curious what you guys think about, obviously you're never going to get the impact that you felt in the game. And I think that's where a lot of the fandom just needs to let that go. Like when you physically play as Joel for so many hours, if you 100% of the game, you're talking 50, 60, 70 hours, and then you might have played it through a few times when you get to the second game. So you've spent potentially hundreds of hours as this person. Mm-hmm. And then also there's a lot more out of nowhere factor to the game. You don't know who Abbey is. You don't even know. I think her name is Woman when this happens. I think it's Woman, and then Owen is Man, and then like there's a big surprise factor in the game.
Yeah, I was actually talking through my feelings a lot with Erica last night because, the episode ended and I was like, this is great. I'm loving everything they're doing, but there's something missing with the Firefly team, the Firefly kids.
WLF.
And I was like talking about like I think Caitlin Deaver's great as Abbey, but I was like, I'm not really connecting with the others the way I was connected with them in the game. And I was talking through my feelings with her last night, and she kind of brought up some things because she has the perspective of never playing the games. And I had a realization where my hangups were coming from just the presentation of how those characters are introduced in the game versus the show. Because in the game, you don't really see the others. You get to meet Abbey and Owen, you kind of get the idea that Owen is like, hey, I'm here for you, but like, we don't want to attack this. We're going to all die. And then things happen similarly to what the show does. And then, but the others sort of, when the first time you see the others in any big way is when they kill Joel. And they all seem much more like a unit, like, oh, it's Joel. Oh, you guys act like you heard of me before. And that's a real big, like, bottom coming out of your soul. And I'm like, oh no, they're here for him.
It's because we have.
Yeah. And then she like shoots him. Like it's very abrupt. Sudden when she shoots him in the leg. And so you get this idea that they're all on the same team, but then when the sound goes out for Ellie, that's when you really start seeing potential cracks, but you don't know what the cracks are. So they're a huge mystery, that whole group. And there's also 3 more of them in the game. And it looks like they're merging Manny specifically with another one of the characters, Jordan. But as I was talking that through, I'm like, oh, it's just a presentation. They want to be upfront with where these characters are and show that they're not about 100% with Abbey early on. And that's a different style choice. And then once I realized that's what they were doing and like, oh, they're just going about it differently. Now I can let that go and be like, okay, let me intake these characters that they're crafting for me in the show and see how they go. So it was actually a really productive conversation I had with her.
Good. Yeah, I think there's a divide right now. And a lot of, again, I don't mean to be too condescending. It's just part of my nature, I guess. But I think a lot of the fandom is being just completely disingenuous in general with how they approach this. And they were never going to like give it a shot as how it's portrayed in the show. But in general, I think the show is much more violent and much more graphic. It cuts to black when Joel is hit with the golf club. Now you do see some brains and stuff later, and the kind of imagining being beat with the golf club rather than stabbed through the neck is maybe worse. But she kind of tortures him for a lot longer in the show. But everyone else, to your point, Steve, of this crew is much more gentle in the show. In the game, they pistol whip Tommy and knock him out. And then in the show, they're like injecting Dina. Like,
Yeah,
go,
that's
go
a
sleep,
really.
go sleep, go sleep.
They just have an anesthesiologist there, like, you probably don't want to see this. That was an interesting choice for sure.
Well, they're adamant that they don't want to hurt anyone else. So I think they're trying really hard to show Abbey is consumed by hatred and revenge, and these are good people. And they're trying to show that much earlier because they have less time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people in the game, even though they had all that time, never got there anyway, which is so funny to me. And I think it hinges on the thing. I will die on this hill. It really upsets me. The people that say the Fireflies could have never manufactured a vaccine and they couldn't have disseminated it and they were wrong and Joel was 100% right. I think people that think that way are completely at a disadvantage from being able to see the value of The Last of Us 2 because that's how they feel. So they can't feel like this was the only end that Joel could have possibly had, really, because he murdered 18 people in cold blood, right? Or at least one, because you can see 17 they signed up for that. You could make that argument,
Definitely one real murder for sure.
But also, like, because of him, in their eyes, the one true way to save humanity has been snuffed out. But also their friends and family are dead too.
It took me 10 minutes to ask this question. I'm so sorry. I'm just so overwhelmed by this episode. But do you think the show's portrayal was more or less graphic? Because I know it's not going to be as impactful because of all the things I started with 10 minutes ago. Andy?
More or less graphic. I think that it felt more graphic because I'm watching a real life portrayal of it, so there's always the separation that you feel to some extent with anything that's, at least I do, with anything that's animated or video game or whatever. So seeing an actual actor there with like the insane makeup that they used with him, like his eyes like swelling shut, and Pedro Pascal does such a good job of like this. He's been beat within an inch of his life, but he still like has this like resignation, but also like, I don't know, care, the way that he's looking at Ellie as he's about to die. I thought it was so much more heart-wrenching and effective just because of the way it's performed, And I mean, obviously shout out to Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker for the way that they portrayed it in the moment for the game. But I think just seeing actual people being put through it is way more affecting. So I mean, I can't imagine what it would have felt like if I had never played the game. But even knowing what was happening and seeing it be played out almost beat for beat, I still was like, oh, fuck, like cringing at it. I thought it was great.
Steve?
I think the game is more graphic, at least for me. I think in general, as a rule of thumb, the game is a gnarly graphic game where a lot of stuff that happens, you really like, I don't like that I'm doing this. But in that scene of Joel being hit, I don't know, something about like the shotgun to the leg is a lot more visceral to me. And also you can see like his bone hanging out and stuff in the game. And her hitting him in the head with the clubs is more effective to me than her hitting him in the leg. I don't know, something about that translates more visceral to me.
I could see that.
But I mean, I think it's weird to say, like, I think it comes down to your preference, but
I
which
think
light beating do you like?
I think it's worse the more you think about the show, because when it cuts back, she stabs him with that golf club, right? Which does seem more surgical than beating him over the head until his skull breaks, maybe. But if you think about it, she's only able to stab him with that golf club because she's been beating him with it for so long that it broke.
Yeah.
Right?
But I wish we would have. I mean, it would have been more visceral if we had seen that happen, though. I was a little. I was kind of confused when it cut to
in the game. It cuts to black when she does the final blow.
You get a frame of contact, though. You get just a little hit.
I thought that
which is a weird sound choice they used. Like the
got him.
The sound design of the club going into the neck, I thought was unbelievably good. It was just this little Just
I do think that you said it best, Kit, the surgical stabbing of the golf club, I think that fits with what they're going with Abbey in the show better. I do think, because there is like a surgical, like, okay, now it's time to actually put an end to it. Boom, he's dead. She didn't
is
just
a doctor's
bop him in the
daughter.
head. Yeah. She didn't just bop him in the head and be like, oh, this one I'm really going to hit him. She pulls out the sure thing club from Top Golf and like hits that sure thing, No, this one it was her like going, okay, this definitely will kill him. I'm done. I do like that change for the show character, at least.
We'll talk more. This was obviously, we want to get a lot of this out of the way, but we'll get back to it when we get to the end of the episode and the recap. I just want to get your initial reactions. It sounds like you're overly all very positive, which is a good surprise. I was really worried Steve was going to have a left fielder here because,
I mean, I famously laugh when Dobby dies, so.
Goddamn you, Steve.
Let me tell you guys, when she stabbed Joel in the back of the head, I was howling, slapping my knee, having a great time.
I didn't expect that. I just know you're probably the biggest fan of the games here, even though Andy's a huge fan, and a lot of valid points have been raised from fans. A lot of invalid ones too, but I've read some really smart people talk about some stuff that I was curious about. Well, let's get in. And people are probably tired of this and just want to get to the recap part. I'm not sure, but there's a lot more to discuss. We can revisit this when we get to this actual scene. And I'm sorry for derailing us. I was just, all in all, I was profoundly affected last night. That's why I never text you guys, but I was like, dude, like I was fucked up. I was fucked up.
I saw your text and I was like, yeah, I saw it, but I was actually fully expecting you to be like, hated it, fucking terrible. And I was like, oh no, did he not like it? Because usually you don't text us unless it's bad.
That's true. No, I was just like so distraught. I was crying at the Tommy and Maria stuff.
Yeah, same.
Like I was so fucked up, and then I knew what was coming, so I'm like, no, not like this. I
love when like Maria's holding Tommy up, like he's starting to collapse a little bit. Oh, it's good, man.
Great stuff.
Let's get into it. We're gonna do the full recap and get right into the weeds of all of this stuff, real deep into Jackson's hole. But first, let's take a brief break to hear from one of our sponsors. And we're back, and we're ready for the recap. The HBO description of this episode is thus. As a storm brews in the mountains, the people of Jackson Hole prepare for the worst amid increased sightings of infected. Meanwhile, Abbey weighs her options.
Do I wear the blue jacket or the red one? I don't know. Mel, what do you think?
I'm really disappointed in myself for laughing when I got to Jackson Hole.
Don't be. It'll never not be kind of weird to say.
Like, grow up,
It is incredibly funny. I love it.
So we actually start with something kind of controversial. Not only have we been, episode 1 revealed that Abbey is a Firefly, and kind of already that she has a close personal connection with at least one of the people who died. But in this, the episode opens with a flashback, and the game does this repeatedly, where we get these kind of explorations of Abby's psyche, where she's kind of reliving the nightmare.
Specifically, they always put her in this hallway to start off every time. Yeah,
but to do it this early in the show, I don't know. It's just, again, it's an interesting way to approach it. Like no mystery about what Abby's motivations are, but she's walking through the hallway. There's an alarm going off, so she's back in that moment when Joel killed all of the Fireflies. And then she's kind of confronting her younger self. And
don't go in there.
Yeah, other Abbey says, he's dead.
Don't go down.
I don't know you,
I don't know you. Get off my purse.
Don't go in there. His brains are on the floor. Ugh.
And I think it's a great choice to have memory Abbey go into the room. You don't really hear anything that's going on, but we stay with present day Abbey, who's reliving the memory, and she cries. Like, I think that's a really powerful moment.
Yeah, it's a strong performance from Caitlin Dever there. Abbey, we cut to present day Abbey. She's sleeping in the lodge. She wakes up. Owen is already awake. He's looking at Jackson for the first time in the daylight. Yeah, and all the others around them start to wake up. And Owen points out Yeah, Jackson's hole is
Fuck,
gaping.
his hole is
I heard
huge.
stories, but I did not believe Jackson's hole was that big.
I feel like we could get in that hole pretty easily. However, I do think we got a fight on our hands at this point, and I don't even think it's going to be. It's not good. It's not good. But Owen points out the real problems. There's not just the guards and the roots and the gates and the
dogs too.
We don't even know where Joel is. Like, what are we going to do, right? And Abby's got a terrible plan. She's like, all right, here's what we do. We're just going to incapacitate a couple guards, tie them up, and make them tell us where Joel is.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, we're going to torture people? I thought you said we weren't going to hurt anybody but Joel. She's like,
yeah,
that was the promise. No. I'm just going to scare them, and Owen points out that that's a bad plan. Like, so what if they don't tell us? Like, we got to commit to the bit at that point and do a torture.
Yeah. Mandy's like, we can't just let them go.
Right. I like how Owen has the concept of a plan. I have the concept of a plan.
Concept of a beginning of an idea of a plan.
So Abbey says, okay, I'm going to buy Owen some time to cogitate, to get the rest of the concept of his plan together. I'll take the first watch. And it's bitterly cold outside.
It's so cold.
I've been cold before, but I don't think I've been as cold as Jackson's hole is. Like, just immediately she's like Dina later gets frostbite.
Yeah. At one point we see a thermometer outside, and I think it's at like 0 degrees or something.
That's not that cold.
Or like negative, maybe it was like -20. It's cold. It's fucking cold.
Yeah. It'd have to be negative considerable to do the frostbite.
But Owen could only do the watch because he did the first watch. And he's like, I could only last out there for an hour. And I love how when Abby's going up to the spot, she's like, I got to be out here for an hour? Fuck.
Yeah, it sounds awful. And back in, the others know that Owen doesn't really have a plan. They confront him about it. And he says, I do have a plan. It's to convince her to go back. Right. So none of them want to commit to this getting Joel thing. And they know Abby's pretty crazy about it. So they don't know what to do. But they're about to abandon ship. Right. He says the only people that are going to get killed out here are us if we go through with this. Then we cut to Ellie, which I think is the actual introduction to Ellie in the game is this moment.
After the title card, it's the first scene, yeah.
In part 2, yeah. It's someone pounding on Ellie's door, just like the game. It's Jesse to get her for her 8 a.m. patrol. And there's this really funny scene where he's like, all right, I heard about last night. And Ellie thinks he's referencing her kissing his ex-girlfriend. So he's like, look, dude, she kissed me. And he's like, I was talking about the fight with Seth and Joel. You kissed her? Dude, we've only been broken up like a week. What the fuck? And he's like, I already knew. I'm just fucking with you. That is fucked up, though.
This is such a great scene to show how close they are and the relationship between the two of them. It's funny as hell.
Yeah, I thought it was great. But the whole town is on alert. Apparently, they had found a pile of frozen, dead, infected, and underneath were 30 live ones. So this is kind of Chekhov's frozen infected. It's showing you the situation that Abbey gets into later. So they're preparing for a massive horde attack, but don't really think it's going to happen.
Certainty masquerading as knowledge, the Ellie way. Suck my dick.
And she's like, you know what? I'm going to do my patrol with Joel. And then you guys made up? And there's this interesting scene that they decided to put in where Ellie's like, look, my shit with Joel is complicated, but we will always be close, essentially. Like,
I'm still me, he's still Joel, and nothing will change.
We'll have a nice daddy-daughter day out on patrol, right? And I, again, reading the Clara's Corner, I thought it was really insightful and interesting as somebody who's played the game as many times as Clara has, that they didn't really like this scene. They thought it was kind of a cheap shortcut to just have Ellie say outright, oh, me and Joel are cool. I disagree. I think it's necessary to remind like casual watchers or only show watchers that like, even though Ellie's going through what she's going through, she loves Joel, right? Like, were you guys struck by like kind of a laziness to this oh, just to remind you, I love Joel, but like I thought it was neat. I really kind of liked it. It hit me hard knowing what was coming.
I wouldn't have called it a shortcut or anything. I took it as kind of a her way of saying, look, fuck off. This is none of your business. Like, we'll be fine. Right. Stop talking about it. Leave me alone.
Yeah, neither did I. I mean, they have to change things that happen in the game and restructure them so on TV it plays differently. Because this is probably for the people who've never played the game to sort of just hammer home like, no, they're like, they might be fighting, but they still love each other. And I kind of get the viewpoint that they're coming from, but I in the moment I didn't think this was like, oh, that's lazy. I just thought that was just them sort of reiterating.
I don't want to misrepresent Clara's Corner. But they did take it. I highly recommend you just read that. It's very they get very deep into the weeds for all the differences from the game and the show. But yeah, I just wanted to say that when I really actually liked this scene, and I appreciated taking a moment to remind people how much love Ellie really does have for him. And in a pinch, she'd kill that whole town and leave with Joel.
And it's very in character for her. Like he's him, I'm me. Quit talking about us.
Yeah. But unfortunately, he's already out on patrol. He left long ago. He's out with Dina. And Maria wants to have a quick word with her before she leaves for her patrol. We cut to Tommy, who is taking a much more of a leadership role in the show than he did in the games. I think in the games, it was mostly Maria who was like the town leader.
They've sort of contextualized the leadership of Jackson. Like there's a council now. Mm-hmm. Both of them are on it, but
there's a Maria Senate.
And but in the game, Maria was much more kind of painted as like the de facto leader of the town.
It was weird to see Jar Jar in the town meeting in the back.
You guys thinking we going to die?
I almost did. I'm not going to do a Jar Jar.
Big gooberfish.
I'm going to let
Steve huge teeth
handle that one. So Tommy's walking the town through the emergency protocol. All of the elderly and children are supposed to go down to the basements. Every able-bodied person is supposed to go to the roofs with guns.
Where do we go, Vanessa? The forest. No, you dumb little idiot.
You're going to die.
There was only one wrong answer, and that's what it was.
Get out.
What are you teaching your goddamn child there, Beth? I don't know if that's that character's name, but...
The only person worse than that kid is Earl, who has previously shot himself in the leg.
So he's like, I'm not going to say who it is. And they're like, Earl.
Yeah, don't be Earl.
Don't be Earl.
Maria wanted to talk to Ellie because she wants to force Seth to apologize.
The homophobe from the last episode.
Correct. And he made them steak sandwiches, but Ellie is not accepting this apology. I love Bella Ramsey does something so wonderful with one short word. He goes on and on and on, and Ellie gives him hell repeatedly. But at the very end, Ellie just goes, "Yep," and it's like a truncated "yep." It's already a short word, but just the "yep," gives him no satisfaction.
I really love this scene in the show. I think they do this scene a lot because this is something that happens in the game exactly. Well, not quite exactly, but the same premise. But I think this handles it much better in that I think they give Seth a little bit more of rope in the show where he's like, hey, I'm trying to apologize. He seems a lot more earnest in the show, but Ellie is still hitting him with like, yeah, people never say drunk and say awful shit they think all the time. Like she's still not giving him that leeway. Whereas in the game, it's less subtle and more overt that he doesn't mean it. But I like this little layer of nuance they give this interaction where it seems like he's trying to mean it. And she's like, no, you fucking don't. Yep. Like it's so great. Love it.
Yeah, I love that line. Yeah. Oh, it's okay, Seth. I get it. People get really drunk and say things they've literally never thought before. Meaning like, dude, you were drunk, but you're still a fucking bigot even when you're sober. Like, so it's great. But as soon as she's outside, Ellie can't feel her ass. It's so goddamn cold. And then we cut to Abbey, who's cold as fuck out there struggling. She's about to call it and go in, but she sees two horses with riders in the distance, which is, of course, Joel and Dina. Tommy and the town are prepping for the worst, going through the, stacking bullets, getting those barrels that we see in action here soon lined up.
Prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
Yeah.
Worked out for him.
And they get word from one of their patrols that there's low visibility. They're going to come back to camp. So he's like, all right, just call all the patrols back. You know,
Snow's getting bad out there.
I wish I hadn't sent any patrols out, but what's the worst that could happen?
Surely today of all days won't be a convergence of 3 tragedies all at once.
Jesse gets the call to turn back, but they've gone too far. They're already kind of caught in the storm. So, hey, we're going to have to hole up here in a different hole. I know a place. We can't turn back. So they park the horses in the garage.
I love that the garage has food for the horses.
Yeah, as soon as they get some hay, they'll be fine.
Shimmer.
And then they head to the 7-Eleven full of weed.
Am I hallucinating right now?
And Jesse,
I don't know. Do you see a 7-Eleven full of weed? Yeah. Well, then you're not hallucinating.
That's exactly what it is.
It's a great line.
This was Eugene's secret place where he grew all his weed for him and his wife. And we find out that Eugene was a Firefly. He quit back in 2010. Didn't want to kill any more people because he was also a veteran of Vietnam. And then Jesse talks about Eugene's death. Like, raw deal. Joel having to put him down. Go through all the shit that guy's been through just to die like that sucks, right? But
this is a good scene because it kind of brings up to the front when Ellie finds the Firefly dog tag. You can see it on her face, sort of like, oh yeah, this is something that is an emotional trigger for me. You can tell she gets really serious, and then the conversation changes to him talking about like, oh man, it's a shame that Joel had to put Eugene down the way he did, survive a war, and you still go out like that. But hey, you had to do it. But it's like, look, it's lingering on Ellie as if to say, like, yeah, Joel, did he kill all those fireflies? That kind of. There's a lot of weight to that scene.
No, I love this scene because, again, I will literally end up dying on this hill probably. That the whole point of the game is that Joel could have saved humanity had he not saved Ellie, because they have Jesse say, couldn't be saved. I mean, what are you going to do? And Ellie go, yeah.
Yeah.
Because not only...
Yep, he was a goner, right?
Not only does that tell you that she kind of knows, but also, like, fucking obviously that's the point of the story, is that was an alternative. Like, without the ultimatum, there's no fucking point to this game. But whatever.
But it's another wrinkle, like, to that mystery of what did Joel do to Eugene that has people like, what a way to go.
It was weird. A skull fucking was an interesting way to...
With the fungus in there and everything, like, man, that seemed like a bad idea.
Gail's like, I just really don't.
I hate you.
I saved him.
We cut to Abbey trying to climb down in the snow, and then she slides a long way. It's like that.
She slides so far, dude. That looked like fun.
It's like that.
It did.
It's like the penguin level in Mario 64. And she slides into a field of frozen bodies. I stuttered because this scene is actually fucking terrifying, and like it was making me
super creepy,
extremely uncomfortable because they're all dead bodies, and then she sees that there's a frozen clicker as well, and it's like moving.
It slowly starts moving.
Not because it's alive, but because of what we heard earlier, that there's alive ones keeping warm underneath or whatever. And they're stirring. And so then they're alive, right? And there's a fuckload of them. And it zooms in on one clicker in particular at one point. And it's like, and it's like, fuck, dude. And they're fast. It's like 28 Days Later style zombies, right? So they can actually run. And I'm not a very fast runner. I don't like snow. This is like a triple whammy for me.
Oh, dude, I wheeze so quickly when it's cold out. Like, I would immediately you're like running away from these things.
Running for your life.
Yeah. You ever run in like 20 below zero? That shit's
it's awful.
It's tough.
Yeah.
And she's booking it though. She's doing the best she can. It's a whole horde.
I think the change in the game that this sets up that I really like is not only do we have this like wild and crazy thing happening at Jackson, but Abbey is indirectly kind of caused it in a way where she stirred the horde initially. Now, I'm sure the horde would have gotten up when that guy, revealed the tendrils and the pipes later on. But I do like that they kind of film this with Abbey kind of stirring them first, because then it kind of it adds another layer of people being mad at her if they find that out.
I agree, because the geography of this bit, like she gets to like a wall with barbed wire on it, and it's kind of like, is she in fucking Jackson? You know what I mean? Like, because in the game it's nowhere near Jackson, so it's kind of like, I don't know where she's at, but it's somewhere between the two. But yeah, but she jumps up like a half broken off ladder, gets over the side. She thinks she's safe. Sneaks.
How scary is that when she's climbing the ladder and they're right behind her and they're
All the
chasing
World War
her?
Z shit, man. They're all slamming themselves into the wall, climbing on top of each other and shit.
This chain link fence scene that's right after the ladder
Awesome.
is so fucking good, because they're like pushing their own skin through the chain links and almost getting to her, and it's so terrifying, and
It's like falling down and she has to crawl under it.
And then once the lady gets through and like is crawling behind her, it's like fuck. But then Joel saves her life because she's wrestling with this one clicker, or it's a runner, but he comes up, revolver, blast in the face. We get that ringing because the gunshot kind of disconcerted her. And she's running along with him. He's like, come on. And
Take my hand.
It's the reveal of his name is something that a lot of people have called attention to as being worse in the show, because they like the agency. In the game, he says, I'm Joel. What? And it's kind of like this, he takes action, has agency in that. And this, it's Dina going, Joel. And Abby's like, no fucking way. Like, she's trying to sit with that during this
She looks
chaos.
at his gun too.
Mhm.
Like, I assume wondering, like, was that the gun that he used maybe?
Oh, I took it as like, I got to wait. Because he's going to, he could take me.
I could see that, yeah.
Was the gun one of the things that she brought up as like a distinguishing factor of him? Like, he's 6 feet tall, has a scar on the side of his head. He also has a sweet 6-shooter on his hip.
I don't think so.
No. Yeah, I think Chris is probably more correct, that she realized that he's got a gun and she can't make a move on him yet. She's got to be patient.
It's that legendary pistol Suzanne he just carries around.
We'll get to that stuff later, Andy, because I think there's something really funny there that happens. But he goes, are your friends armed? Because she tells him she has friends up at the lodge. At first, he wants to make sure she has no bites, and he just believes her because he's a good guy. But
he'll suss that out later.
But she's like, he's like, are your friends armed? She's like, oh yeah, we got hella guns and shit. They're super dope. We got some fucking hot cocoa. Yeah. And he's like, any chicks? No. So they head up to the lodge. They have no other better idea. So he pulls her up on the horse and they roll out of there as the horde busts in the little barn thing. We cut back to Tommy in town. He finds out that everyone but Joel and Dina have been reached. And so he goes into the radio operator, Amy, Tommy does, and tries to reach Joel himself. And he's like, every fucking 10 seconds, Amy. And he's so upset that his brother is the one that's missing out there on patrol. And he's very distraught by that. We cut back to Ellie and Jesse, and Ellie finds the gas mask bong.
Great.
She's like, I'm taking this with me. And Jesse's like, you're definitely not. He's like, oh yeah. And I'm taking a bunch of weed with me too. And he's like, no, you're not. You know what?
You may be in charge of Jackson one day, but that day has not yet come.
It's so funny. But then Ellie finds out that Joel and Dina are missing because Amy, in trying to reach Joel and Dina, accidentally reaches their channel. And he's like, wait, what's going on? And she overhears that Joel and Dina are gone. They both immediately book it outside, out of safety. And I thought that this is one of the first times where I cried. It's so stupid, but I got choked up with how fast Ellie's like, because she's going to die in the cold. It's so dangerous out there. They've already established that they can't make it back. All of that leaves both of their minds immediately. All right, let's split up. Like it's just.
They can only be out for no more than 20 minutes or they'll start getting frostbitten.
Just no hesitation. That's my people. You know what I mean? It's so good. I'm going to cry now. It's so good. Mm-hmm. They ride off. We cut to Dina, Joel, and Abbey are running. There's more zombies pouring out. There are thousands of them. I skipped over it, but there's a point where a dude is, for some reason, during this drill for the horde attack and the storm coming, there's still dudes out there just working on the pipes.
Well, they got a housing crisis. They got to build those houses.
To the last minute till my shift's done. You know what I mean? I'm up for a promotion. He cracks open the pipe and sees the cordyceps. And he's like, oh, fuck. So he's running
to tell Tommy
about the cordyceps, but Tommy is interrupted because the tower sees the horde at the same time. And that's Sniper Tone's cousin, Sniper Tom, up there.
I'm so glad you said that, because as soon as that guy pulls up the binoculars, like, well, butter my biscuits, it's round 2. Sniper Tone, time to give yourself a little bit of a redemption arc.
They're gonna penetrate Jackson's hole if I don't snipe these fuckers out.
Somebody get me my gun.
The good news,
proceed to miss them all.
There's one good thing about this. I really can't miss. I mean, they're everywhere.
This seems like a day for me. Woo-hoo. The gods finally smiled on old Tone.
But yeah, he rings the bell at the same time as the guy's running up to tell Tommy. So he's interrupted from so many bad things happening at once, right? And then, so they go into action. You guys know the plan. Roofs and basements.
How cool was that shot when Joel and Joel, Dina, and Abbey are riding on the horses and the horde's chasing them, and then when the horde gets like the updated instructions, like, ooh, town of people this way, they're all like, ah, ah. It looks like their heads are being like pulled away, like they've got their own like reins that are steering them elsewhere. Like I really thought the body work from those extras running was really, really impressive.
It is.
It was like some Two Towers shit with them coming down like the 2 different hills at the same time. Like, you know what, divert.
Yeah.
And so it begins.
I just thought of like Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park. Like, notice how they move it together like a flock of birds. It's the Gallimimus scene from Jurassic Park.
Do you follow Sam Neill on TikTok?
I do not, but I wish I did.
You fucking need to. This dude is like 70, just living his best life on some like Scottish farm or whatever. And he's got a tractor with an inflatable T-Rex just driving through his fields with the Jurassic Park music. And the caption is, Steven, I'm sorry.
I love Sam Neill.
Living his best life out there. But
he's a treasure.
Basements and roofs. Maria kisses Tommy because they know all hell's about to break loose. They gear up and move out. They stack bullets, move more barrels in. They bar the door with like 2 giant trucks and a bobcat. It's like their lock on the front door.
They even put like blocks on the bobcat tires. They are not messing around.
They've got a plan, a concept of a plan. And I think it's Seth is one of the people that has a flamethrower, and they made a point to show that.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was him or not, but I thought it was him.
Definitely looked like him, but I had the same hesitation. I'm not sure.
It's the only reason to show a close-up of him like lingering like that is if it was him, is what I think. But
well, whoever it was, that same person then turned tail and ran.
Is he the one who runs? Right.
Yeah.
I thought so. Yeah, so they're leaning into fuck this guy, and I like that.
Yep.
I don't like that Tommy's war cry is Jackson Hole.
Jackson Hole! You know what would have made it better? Can I pitch a better idea?
Sure.
What Tommy does is he goes, Jackson! And then everyone else goes, oh! It's like Durin and Rings of Power. Khazad! Doom!
You know what? That is better. And I think you should send Tommy a raven.
Craig, let me talk to you.
Bend your ear for a second here.
Come here, Craig Mazin. I know you're behind Chernobyl, but I got ideas.
How do you guys feel about shouting hole?
Dude, I have this in all caps, just LOL. It's so fucking funny.
Jackson Hole.
No one will penetrate the hole this day.
I know that it's a real place and that we are infantile, but it's funny.
It is funny. Come on. Have some fun with us.
They've got these little ramps that pop out on the wall. I like this design engineering here because that way the flammable barrels can go far away from the wall to explode is why they invented those. And, you know,
they've got a great plan going.
It's a good design. They're shooting the zombies, but mostly they're shooting the barrels so they can leak out their flammable juice. And then they've got some torches to throw, light them up down at the barrel so they can explode. And at first it's like, oh, they got them. You know, there's a lot of explosions, but there's so many zombies that it barely seems to make a dent. And Joel sees the fires and the walls in the distance. He's like, we got to go back. But they can't. Abbey, that fucking Abbey, she insists. They go to the lodge. Like, no,
my friends can help. We can fight. We'll help you.
Yeah,
don't worry, Joel. We got you.
We'll all run down there and knock them out.
I like the idea of, even though she's still putting up this facade of friendliness, she still throws stank into his name. Like, don't worry, Joel.
Yeah, her eyes narrow every time why do your eyes narrow every time you say my name? Oh,
we got 6 people. We'll turn the tide.
Do you got a problem with me or something?
Do I smell bad?
Dina, what the fuck's her problem?
They cut to the top of the wall. There's hella bullet casings and so many burning zombies. But then a bloater shows up and the horde starts to turn. And it's if the bloater's like, come on over here. There's a hole in the wall. To me.
Dude, I'm telling you, Twin Towers, he's the one running with the bomb thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not Twin Towers, Andy. That's 9/11.
All right. I said Twin.
We all remember that
2
day on
towers.
9/11.
You're
way different.
You're thinking of Helm's Deep.
Mr. President, a second bloater has arrived at Jackson Hole. I got to cut all this out, don't I?
I don't think you do. I think
it's so funny.
I don't think you do. I think it's the least of what we say here. But he's like, they're gonna breach. Like Tommy realizes they're gonna make it through, so he abandons the wall.
It's interesting because they're playing with this idea that the infected are evolving, because at some point the runners all start running away from the wall and sort of running with the bloater and allowing him to break through the wall. Like seems to be like a hive mind intelligence happening here that wasn't necessarily happening in the games.
For sure. It's also interesting that Tommy doesn't know that all he needs is a nail bomb, and he would have saved everyone from that bloater.
That's true.
Sniper Tone, bring him down.
I can't get him.
I'm trying. He's squirrely. He's doing a zigzag. No, he's running in a straight line. You sure? Oh, that's just my shakes.
I didn't have my cough syrup this morning.
It breaks through the wall. That's on me again, gang. I'm sorry.
Here he comes.
I did my best.
I'm not going to lie. There's no bullets in my gun.
Tell my best friend Seth I love him. Oh, no, not you too.
No, Tone. But Tommy goes and warns the rooftop folks and suits up with a flamethrower. And there's 4 flamethrower guys, one of which is Seth. They're like, okay, we're all that stands between the town and destruction now that Sniper Tone failed.
We're here to make that hot knife so it can cut through this town like butter.
But then 2 flamethrowers run immediately. Tommy sees that the bloater is going for Maria's building because she's been shooting the bloater a bunch. And he's like, "Rrr." He's like, oh, fuck, gotta save my wife. So he cowboys through all of the people with his little pistol and pisses off the bloater with his gun to get him to chase him and save Maria. But then Maria gets attacked anyway, but by runners and stuff. A lot of her rooftop buddies die and she has to roll out. And then Tommy ends up trapped in this like alley fighting the bloater alone. And he's blasting him with that flamethrower and it's not fucking working. And then at the last second, it does work. And the bloater keels over right before he kills Tommy. I saw
that was terrifying.
I saw some people judging the scene, but I thought it was A, terrifying, but B, this is how the game is. Like those bloaters just kind of eventually go, bleh.
Yeah, I actually, this is the scene that works the least for me in the show. Like you're correct. Like when you see a bloater, you put those things on fire immediately so they can like keep their damage going, and then eventually, like they'll just fall over. But there were some things I think they could have changed subtly, and it would work better for me. Like if it was still on fire when it fell, or if Tommy just like when it fell, he pulled out his gun and just panic shot it a couple more times. But like just the way it filmed, I didn't think it was terrifying in the moment, and then when he just it was just very like I wrote in my notes womp womp.
Well, it was still on fire. Like when
it was like smoky and not like active. Like the fire was like going out. It wasn't like, for me, it needed to be like on fire, not going out.
The fire was like working its way into its head, and I thought that was what actually finished it off.
Yeah, it was like when you have an actual fire, Steve, and you have like the logs on top are like, wah. But like,
I needed the wah. No, I know like what they're
there's
going
like a
for.
deep flame.
I'm just saying it doesn't look as cool.
Yeah. I was scared for Tommy. I think that would be terrifying. Especially when he's just like, fuck. Like it's going to suck so bad when it gets over here.
But also the lead up to that too.
But you're not alone. I've seen a lot of people say that was a dud.
The lead up to it too is a little eyebrow raising because he's in the middle of the horde on the street and like all the other infected just running past him, not caring, and he's like, "Hey, you motherfucker, come here, big guy!"
Well,
like it's a little stretching of the imagination, and I'm just kind of like, okay, and then like just them go into the alley, and then it just has sort of a anticlimactic fall over. It just didn't. I don't think it was as cool as they were hoping it would be.
I hear you. I think it kind of works because there's so much going on. And imagine, me, you, and Andy are running through just a street with cheeseburgers, and there's cheeseburgers everywhere. There's cheeseburgers falling off rooftops and sitting there throwing fries at us. And
are the cheeseburgers throwing?
We might run past a couple cheeseburgers because we're locked in on another cheeseburger. Like that one's got bacon. That one's got bacon. You see what I'm saying?
Sure.
That's how I feel like he got away with it. Because he's like, he shoots a couple that do go for him, and some of the others run past because they're going for other burgers,
The way you broke it down for me like that
didn't help at all. I award you no points.
If you change the metaphor to pizzas, maybe.
Nothing you said even approaches a coherent thought. Maria's running through the chaos. I'm going to say something. I love Joel. It was devastating. All the Maria and Tommy stuff really got to me and works and is all a show invention here. And it was making me cry. I'm not even the biggest animal lover. Definitely the lowest on the totem pole of this crowd, you two. But when she goes and lets the dogs out, I was like, no. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
not the doggies.
Well, I mean, Paw Patrol turned the tide of the battle.
They did.
It wasn't Sniper Tone. It was the Paw Patrol. But yeah, it is kind of what are they going to do other than take out 20 infected and then maybe hopefully I don't know.
And imagine when they get infected and you have these rabid fucking pit bulls running around murdering all the people.
Well, they obviously had to put them down, Andy.
Well, I don't know if it's the same in the show, but in the game, cordyceps only affects humans. It doesn't affect animals.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, they run past Tommy. They're the reason he's alive is because she let those dogs out. And it's like this triumphant moment where the dogs rush past and Tommy's like, good move, Fido.
Operation Baja Man, go. The answer to the age-old question, who let them dogs out?
Maria did. Abby's crew are out looking for her because she hasn't returned from her watch yet. And then at that point, Abbey, Joel, and Dina make it to the lodge. They start tending to everybody. Dina's got some frostbite. Everybody's being cool and nice. They do make a point to show that Dina sees the WLF logo on one of the backpacks.
Yeah, who are you guys?
And Joel's trying to order everybody around, which is way different than the games. He's like super chill. Like, what's up? You guys got any coffee?
There's also not a horde attacking the town.
That's what I'm saying. Like that decision affects the entire dynamic of this scene is what I'm saying.
And when they ride up on the lodge in the game, the horde what horde there is, it's much smaller. There's like 20 of them as opposed to thousands. Like the crew helped them kill them. So they're like, oh man, that was great. You guys cool. Good in the fight. How's it going? You guys got some jockey milk?
Hey, I'm Joel.
Yeah. And Joel says, all right, we're shipping out in 3 minutes. Grab your gear. And Abby's like, okay, that's Dina. She tries to make it kind of organic, but also dramatic. And she goes, and he is Joel. And they pull a gun on Dina and then point guns at Joel. And everything happens so fast. Put her to sleep or I'm going to smash her fucking head in. Right? It's like Abbey is 3 steps above everybody else, right? And he's like, look, if you're trying to rob us, it's just I got $3 on me. And
Do we look like raiders to you?
Do we look like raiders? What do we look like? And he goes, soldiers, fireflies. And at the same time, they're putting Dina to sleep. Again, there's an anesthesiologist in the mix, luckily. And so I'm going to put you to sleep I did like this though. Like it's trying to show that they are good people in every way that they can, in the sense of like, this is going to put you to sleep for 1 hour. I promise. And then she looks at Joel. I promise. Right. Like, hey, calm down, that she's not going to die.
Yeah. But you.
Yeah. I can't say anything about it. I'm not going to make any promises there.
Right.
This scene is so funny to me. Maybe it was in the games. I don't remember it. But Abby's got this whole thing. It was sinister in episode 1 where she's like, he's got a scar above his eye. He's about 6 feet tall. They said he was handsome. But when she brings it back here, it's
strange.
Because it implies that the few survivors of that massacre were like, he was hot though.
Why that psychopath though?
There was this baddie running around with a gun and stuff.
There was a kindness to his eyes.
There's this total caked up zaddy running around Salt Lake.
And then when Abby sees him, through her rage and hatred, she's like, I see it.
I kind of get it.
Oh my God. It's funny. But yeah, she's like, you are handsome. Holy shit. How's that? That's good for you. I'm so happy for you, right? Mm-hmm. And she tells him he has one chance to tell the truth. Where was the last place you saw the fireflies? And he looks at Dina and he's thinking about protecting her, because she's like, well, fucking kill her if you lie.
And then Mel's like, but wait. And Abby's like, shut the fuck up, Mel.
God damn
doing
it,
the
Mel.
thing.
I'm doing the
Jesus.
thing.
This is the second time you've been like, huh?
And he says, Salt Lake. And she says, well, at least you're not a liar, right? And then in this scene, he says, I saved your life. And she says, what life? And shoots his leg, right?
Kneecaps him. Bam.
And then just like the game, she says, tourniquet him. And Owen's like, just do what we came here to do, because they're all hesitant to do the torture bit, right? So she wants him alive as long as possible for what's to come.
We all agreed, mostly me, but we all agreed we would do it slowly. Mm-hmm. I know there's a town on fire, thousands of infected to run around, but we got time.
We got to make a meal of this. Mm-hmm. And she asked Joel, did you count as you went? Or just kind of wasn't thinking about it, right? But she says he killed 18 soldiers and 1 doctor. And in the game, it's more like 100, but whatever. I don't know about you guys, but I was cooking with that AR. And then she says, that was my dad. I was 19. So the same age that Ellie is now is how old she was when she found her dad's brains on the ground. She's now part of a militia in Seattle, the WLF. And she's like, we got a rule. We don't kill people that can't defend themselves, which right now is you. But I'm about to break that rule. I like that there's a little bit of because she says you did something like you did something that everyone agrees is fucked up, right? Like everyone in the world. And
there are some things, no matter where you come from, people will agree is messed up and wrong.
And he kind of nods. You know what I mean? Like he's he's like, you ain't wrong. I don't feel good about it. I have a therapist now. She smokes a lot of weed and she's not very helpful, but I'm working on it.
I did kill her husband, though.
Listen.
It was actually 19.
Oh, no.
I killed so many people.
I hid a lot of bodies you didn't find.
Oh, you only found 19?
I did count, and you're way off.
Listen, the whole skull fucking thing, they were like that before I found them.
He says, and then she sees the golf clubs, and I think it's so awesome, like as fans of the game, when as soon as it shows the bag of golf clubs, the golf bag, you're like, oh shit, they're gonna do it. Mm-hmm. I love the bit in the game. He does something kind of similar, not quite this line, but she starts to say something else as she gets to the clubs, and he goes, just shut the fuck up and do it already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the game it's something like, say whatever speech you got prepared.
Yeah.
And get on with it. Yeah.
And this time it's just shut the fuck up and do it. I love that dude. He's such a bad motherfucker. It's awesome.
And you got to think he knows he's going to die, and it's got to be, as somebody who has like this anxiety of anticipation, kind of similar to this, I could see that outburst, and I wouldn't be being tough. I'm just like, it would just be an explosion of anxiety that would make me say something like that. Like, this is so much worse than you just doing it.
He just got kneecapped though, dude. I'd be there going,
I know, right?
That's true.
He's just like, just another day that ends with Y for me.
So she grabs a club and she says the line from the game. Listen, old fucker, or whatever. You don't get to rush this.
Stupid old man. Yeah, you stupid old man. You don't get to rush this.
And then she hits his leg repeatedly. It's brutal. Ellie is riding around looking for him. She sees that Jackson's on fire, and then she sees the tracks leading up to the lodge. She chooses the tracks, right? Because just like Joel, she's going to make the choice to save her person and not the collective. And I think that's important.
That's a good call out.
And she's not that she could necessarily save Jackson, but it's not the point, motherfuckers.
They might not be able to get there in time with the snow going too.
She's riding up on the lodge while Abbey is beating him, and then she sees the horses. She sneaks in, gun drawn, knife drawn. She's got the little like that's the fucking assassin move. You got both.
CQC,
and she hears the beating. And goes in, knife and gun drawn, and then gets got immediately. But she does slice Manny, who in the games is Jordan, that she slices. And Joel is just there twitching. He's been beaten to a pulp at this point. And Claire's Corner, last time I'll reference it, but I don't remember this because I haven't played it that many times. But they were talking about how in the games, you come in the front room with all the windows and the light. You have to descend down into the dark basement, and it's like this descent into hell.
Yes.
And they like that much better than this all occurring in this lit room in the front.
I was actually thinking the same thing. Just that's my preference. But what they're doing with the show, I like what they're doing with the show, where even while all of this is going on, you can see in the background Jackson on fire the entire time. So it does, I see what they're doing. They're trying to raise the stakes, not only for Joel, not only for Ellie, but for the whole community. It does have this weight of urgency now that you see Jackson also on fire, because Jackson is not part of this whole scenario.
Jackson whole scenario?
Yeah. I see what you did. I like that. I liked it.
But
so I know what they're doing for the show. My preference is still the game, but I do appreciate what they're doing in the show. I think it's a smart choice if that's also happening at the same time.
Agreed. As soon as they take out Ellie, Owen's like, end it. Like, you've had your fun with the torture and stuff. Like, let's get the fuck out of here. Now other people are getting involved. And Abbey picks up the broken golf club because she's beaten him so long that the iron is broken. And then she very methodically stabs him with it. And Ellie is distraught, we'll just say. She's begging him.
Awful.
She's begging him not to.
This is so awful because it's Ellie, right? She's, just such a sassy little gremlin of a person that we all love, right? And she's begging them not to do this. Like, because this person, I'm getting choked up now. This person means so much to her, and she's actually like, this is something we never really see Ellie do, is beg.
And
and that's heartbreaking.
The part that destroyed me, she is begging Joel to get up. Just get up. And he fucking tries.
He lifts his head a little bit, yeah.
Even though he's barely alive, he's got that shotgun wound to the knee. He's been beat with a golf club for 10 straight minutes and punched in the face over and over by Abbey. And as soon as Ellie is like, please get up, like, he'll do anything for her. He tries. There's no strength in his body, but he twitches like he's trying to get up.
And why would I let him do that? The king in the north arises.
Bringing back the two towers again, the twin towers. She stabs him. Ellie screams, "I'm gonna kill you. You're all gonna fucking die." And the guy she cut, Manny, kicks her really hard. And then they all kind of leave. And then we have to watch Ellie crawl to Joel's body, pull that club out, and then lay on his mutilated face and cry. And then they fucking played Through the Valley.
I know.
I was barely hanging on. And then we get that, I walk through the valley of the shadow. And it's Ashley Johnson's version which is the version.
Mhm.
Oh my God, dude. You bastards.
Yeah.
And through that song, Abbey and the crew walk away. We see Jesse's horse approaching as they do so. And we see that this dude who got an arm bite handing his pistol to a comrade to do the work, my friend.
That's intense.
It's over.
What a real one. Like, shout out to that dude.
He's like, I'm just glad it's not Joel.
Did Tone make it?
I've been trying to shoot him for 10 minutes.
Here. Someone else have a go at him. I'm having a little trouble. He keeps moving. Oh, nope, that's just the shakes again.
But the town clears everyone out. They're just offing everybody who got bit. And
there's a scene where Maria and Tommy find each other in the chaos, and they hug. But Tommy is so overcome with grief, the adrenaline wearing off, all this stuff, where he starts to like buckle and fall, and Maria's the one that keeps him on his feet. And it made me start to cry like immediately again. Like, I thought I was getting over the Joel stuff, and then that happens. I'm like, why? I didn't even know this was going to affect me.
Yeah, the Tommy and Maria embrace is huge. And then Dina, Ellie, and Jesse are riding back, and Ellie's like hyperventilating, and they're dragging Joel back to Jackson. And that's the end of episode 2.
Ooh, baby. What a way to end that episode.
And now it's time to talk about our favorite moments, some Easter eggs, and our favorite performance. But before we do that, let's take a brief break to hear from one of our sponsors.
Hello, Stream Fiends. As April showers bring those famous May flowers, we're reminded of the growth and renewal that spring offers. It's a time of refreshing rains and new beginnings and questioning whether or not the tomb is empty. But before any of that, we want to sprinkle some gratitude like a gentle April rain. So let's give a special April shout out to all of our supporters on Patreon, but a special shout out to our super patrons. These fantastic supporters contribute $25 or more each month, helping our podcast bloom and thrive like a well-tended garden. So thank you to Sander Barbarian, Daniel Pack, Nice Guy Eddie, Taloon, Jordan Garvin, Albus Stinkpot, Haley, Maddlestat, Susie Callahan, Anthony Corona, Jim E, Lady Trashley, Sean Myers, Just Liz Calabria, Mike from New Hampshire, Brett X, E Scramo, Lil Tickler, Svento 7, Jay Scramo, Bloffpum, AK Ashley Ray, Adam Busby, Upside Down Canuck, Big Butthorn, Jair Latanowicz, Kaylee Sampson, Rabbit Dog in a Barbie Car, Elpander, Alexis Adler, Peaches, Emmy, Haley B, Joe Velez, Trisha Bueller, Alex G, Sun-Loving Mortal, Suzanne Rode, Jadinklage Morgoon, Kalisha Reeves, Paula Garcia, That Brenda, Aaron Armstrong, Seriously Black 82, Ashley Powers, Casey McCain, and Enza. So thank you all so much for supporting Streaming Things, and with that, let's get back to Streaming Things, okay?
And we're back. It's time to discuss our favorite moments from this episode, our Firefly moments.
Our clicker stickers?
Clicker stickers, our top 3. Andy, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is when Jesse comes and picks Ellie up for patrol. I just thought it was so fun and so endearing when he's just messing with her. Like, yeah, I heard it was a crazy night last night. And she's all flustered. Like, well, she kissed me. And like, she probably didn't even remember. It's fine. And when he pokes his head back in with that, that's pretty fucked up what she did, though. That was just such a sweet, endearing moment. And I don't know. It's fun to see the good times because in a show like this, you don't get a ton of levity. And so when we get those types of moments, they're extra impactful.
And it's important for making the sad stuff even sadder, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Steve?
My number 3 is the beginning of the horde invasion on Jackson. I just really liked sort of the extra lore that they're building on top of Jackson because we didn't really get to see them fight the horde in the game. And I like how they have like a whole plan, and it's a pretty good plan. They've got those oil barrel ramps and stuff. It was just really cool to see that play out. Not a lot of like super big character growth or anything, but it was just a feast for the eyes, and the spectacle was there, and I enjoyed the spectacle of it. But Kit, what about you? Your number 3?
I have the same as Andy's. I really enjoyed that moment between Jesse and Ellie, and it shows how We've had multiple instances of how deep their friendship goes, but it's just such a good setup for the misery to follow. Yeah, that's my number 3. Andy, your number 2?
My number 2 is the Abbey being chased by all the clickers once they like come out of the ground and shit, and we get this awesome daylight horror of her running through the snow and immediately like getting trapped beneath that fence and stuff. The zombies pushing their hands through the grates of the fence and stuff is so gnarly, and that have all of that like crazy tension and awesome action. Just this chef's kiss of a plot twist to have it be Joel that is firing the gun that saves her and stuff. It's just such good writing, both from the game and how they portrayed it in the show. Just genius and so terrifying and just great
horror. Steve.
My number 2 is your guys' number 3, the scene with Ellie and Jesse. I would sort of expand it not only where you guys were talking about, but even when they're walking through Jackson, talking about the horde that's coming up, and she's like kind of, suck my dick, being all funny with him. But then when she turns around and it says like, I am me and Joel is Joel and we are who we are. Quit talking about us. Like all of that stuff is great because not only does it set up the relationship she has with Jesse, but it also it contextualizes her relationship with Joel for anybody who forgot who we're dealing with here. I appreciated that. I thought Bella Ramsey's performance was wonderful in this scene as well. So, what's your number 2, Kit?
Agreed. Mine is Andy's number 2 as well. We're 2 for 2 so far. Ooh. But the frozen clicker field I thought was legitimately terrifying. Even as you're with Abbey, who you maybe don't know that well or care about much yet, or maybe you do and you hate her. But for me, I was feeling for her. I was terrified. I had and again, running through the sub-zero temperatures with that giant horde behind you. And then the fence scene, it was just like, I was fucking heart pounding. I thought it was so well done. Andy, what's your number 1?
It's got to be the big moment. Abbey and Joel showdown. She's like, I'll give you one chance to tell the truth. And he does. And she kneecaps him and starts to monologue. He has his bad motherfucker moment of just shut the fuck up and do it already. So I'll call that like the climactic moment part 1, before Ellie shows up and stuff. And I love all of that too, but especially the showdown where Joel's realizing who they are, what's happening, all of the consequences of the choices that he's made in his life are kind of coming to a head in that moment. And I think that the performances between both of them, Pedro and Caitlin, are just phenomenal.
Steve.
I guess mine would be the scene part 2. Like I really love the part where Ellie gets involved. You see Joel just battered and bruised, and Ellie's get up, Joel, get up, and he does his attempt, and then she starts begging them, but she doesn't listen, and they kill him, and it's awful, and then she crawls over to him and holds him, and that's how the scene ends. It's really just so sad and just such a gut punch. Like Manny literally gut kicked Ellie, but I feel like he might as well have been doing that to me as well in this scene. It's really well done. And again, like I said at the top of the show, this is an unenviable task to try to recreate this moment and do it justice. And I think they did. I think they succeeded overall. But what's your number 1 favorite moment, Kit?
My number 1 favorite moment it is that, but it's specifically when the notes of Through the Valley come in.
No.
And we're sitting with what just happened, and that beautiful song is playing, and we know that we're never going to be okay again. It's like you've just had your cheeks clapped for 2 straight hours.
Go on.
And you put that cigarette filter to your lips, and you click the lighter, and it's doom 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 doom. I walked through the valley,
Is that your post-nut clarity song?
You're just contemplating, what have I done?
What have I done with my life?
Where's my life led me? I don't even like this guy.
It's a tragedy.
Terrible analogy. It was a transcendent moment for me. Through the Valley is my number 1. Which brings us to Bullets and Pills.
Pills, baby!
Our Easter eggs and, references to the game, maybe some early aughts pulls that we can glean, things like that. Andy, do you have anything?
Not really, other than to say that song they used in the reveal trailer for The Last of Us Part 2, and it was at like a live PlayStation experience thing in like
PlayStation
2016.
Experience 2016.
Yeah.
First
and,
time we ever saw Last of Us Part 2 was this song.
And there's clips of it on YouTube with the audience reaction. It opens just with this derelict road and the camera keeps pulling back. And then finally you see a street sign with the Firefly logo spray painted on it. And the crowd loses their goddamn minds. And then it cuts to Ellie sitting there in this torn up house, starts playing this song. And it's just one of the most iconic. I'm getting chills thinking about it because I was watching it live when it happened. And it was obviously I wasn't in the theater, but I was watching on the internet, and it was this like seminal moment. Like, oh my God, they're making another one, because the story felt finished. So when you find out you're getting a part 2, it was a mind blowing situation. But yeah, I just want to shout out that the song and its association with The Last of Us originated there.
And that trailer is really fun to revisit now, because with the context of having played the game and now have caught up on the show,
they tricked you.
They tricked you because the way it's played, the way the trailer works is like Ellie picks up the guitar, she starts singing. Ashley Johnson, who voices Ellie in the games, is singing it, and she sings the version of the show as well. And you see all these dead bodies that are on the floor, and like Joel walks in almost like through a bright light in the door. He sort of morphs into the room, and you think like Joel's joining her, because he goes like, "You really going through with this kid?" And she's like, "I'm going to kill every single last one of them." And that's how it ends. So they trick you into think like Joel and Ellie strapping in together for another adventure. But really, like, after you know what happens, it's just her memory of Joel that she's talking to and not actually him in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
It's so expertly done. Great.
How
trailer.
you doing, kiddo?
I see you killed all these people. That's pretty cool. Did
So
you do the skull fucking move I taught you?
It's so good, man. And that was a devastating, you're right in retrospect, but it's such a good teaser. That's actually how Andy, that was his last ditch effort to try to get me to play the first game, was to make me watch that with no context. It's like, look how good this is. I don't know who any of these people are, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
It's a dope
song.
But anyway, Steve, what do you got?
I got a couple. I would be remiss. We missed this one last week, but a lot of people were writing in, and I thought it was worth mentioning. But the band that plays at the New Year's ball last scene or last episode features Gustavo Santaolalla. I totally butchered that, but he does all the music for the Last of Us games, and so he's the guy like strumming. He's got the beard and he's strumming the guitar. That's who that is.
Oh, that's fun.
This is a rehash of a Bullets and Pills baby from last season, but when we get that quick cutaway, that quick flashback that Joel gets where he shoots the doctor and you see like the nurses in the background for that brief second, Laura Bailey, who plays Abbey in the game, is one of the nurses. So she had a little cameo in the first season, so it was nice to see her brought back up in what is probably Abby's most important scene in the entire show, or at least the entire game, is what she does to Joel. So that was nice to bring her back in a little bit and be in that scene a bit. And then there's a bunch of other small things, like the gas bong is from the game, Eugene's farm. We talked about that briefly last episode. We get a little WLF badge, stuff like that. But mostly a lot of the stuff we kind of already talked about, like the chain link fence section and all that, is in the game as well. So those are the big ones that I had.
Well, I meant to talk about this earlier, but we kind of agreed that we like almost all of the changes for the show so far, if not all of them. A lot of people are having problems with, why wasn't Tommy there? Like, we like all of that stuff. But the Eugene's farm is, I think, in the basement of a library.
It is,
not a 7-Eleven. And because Ellie is supposed to be there with Dina, there's a very important scene that happens in the game, is she and Dina have sex. And obviously that didn't happen because she's there with Jesse instead, and Dina's with Joel. And I do think that's a really important moment for their characters, because it's before all of the storm happens. It's Ellie's attempt to kind of have a normal life and experience growing up into a young woman and this last little bit of normal life before this terrible, terrible tragedy, right? And that was kind of taken from the story because they just put Jesse there. And you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I see what you're saying.
I don't hate it, but it's just kind of it's a choice.
Yeah, Eugene's pot farm in the game is much grander and much more impressive. Like, whoa, he built all this. Wow, that's so neat. But like we sort of said earlier, they're removing characters and inserting them into places to effectively tell the story within the medium that they have. And I think they did that because we already saw Dina and Ellie connecting like they were last episode with like the dance and the kiss.
Yeah, because in the game you hadn't seen the dance yet.
Yeah, in the game, the kissing, which leads to sex, in the pot farm is the first intimacy they share as characters on screen. So we get the fact that they are starting a relationship, but we also in this episode get to see much more of Jesse and Ellie's relationship and why he's there and why he would be motivated to help as well. And because also like Dina in the game is supposed to be the one that's Eugene's sort of buddy, but they rewrote that so it's Jesse. So I see what they're doing and I don't hate it because I understand like they got to like make cuts and be sort of strategic and picking their moves. So I don't hate this, but I understand why people would be kind of sad to not see the majesty that is Eugene's game pot farm.
Well, that brings us to our Outbreak performance, our favorite performance of episode 2. Andy, who are you going with?
I think I'm going to give it to Caitlin Deaver. You hate the things that she does, but you love the way that she does them, performance-wise at least. And not just, her huge seminal moment with Joel and like all of this anger, like finally like being released for her, but also like the sequences that we got of her terrified running, trying to hide and stuff. I think that she's doing great work and she's phenomenal casting to play Abbey. So I had to shout her out.
I've been really waffling on who to give mine to this episode because I think there's two choices. I think it's Caitlin Deaver or Bella Ramsey. And ultimately, I think I'm still going to go with Caitlin Deaver as well. But Bella Ramsey, she has two standout performances or two standout scenes in this episode. That's the one with her and Jesse where she's like, I'm me, that's Joel. But then also like the scene, like almost I get choked up when she's like, please don't. And like, I'm going to kill you. Such amazing work. I think I'm still going to give it to Caitlin Deaver ultimately because she's doing some really layered stuff. Like even when she's getting in Joel's face and she delivers that cold monologue, like, do you know how many people you killed? And like she's crying, but her face looks so just full of rage. And you like, I don't know, you can sort of see like, here's this character, we know she's mad, she wants vengeance, but there's someone else behind there as well that we haven't quite seen yet. And I think what she's doing is really, really impressive and subtle and nuanced. And I'm really excited to see where she goes with this character moving forward.
I think you're right, Steve. Everything you just said, I back up 100%. I am also going to give it to Caitlin Deaver.
Everybody?
Everybody. I do want to point out, I think Bella Ramsey has said that they want to use they, them pronouns now. I know that the first time I think the first time we covered this show, they had said they didn't care. Even though, they do identify as non-binary, but they didn't really have a preference. And I think that has evolved.
Okay. Good to know.
Just want to shout that out. But I think you're 100% correct. I mean, I had some things to say earlier in reflecting some of the good things some of the valid criticisms the fandom has and stuff. But there is no doubt that Caitlin Deaver, where it counts, is delivering an excellent performance and channeling so much hatred and rage. And you're getting that it's torturing them and her loved ones are seeing, like, I want to help, but like, you need therapy. Mm-hmm. I think I know a person in Jackson that's not going to help, but we'll try. She needs to see Gail for sure.
Gail's there to help.
Yeah. As soon as she meets Abbey, she's like, I fucking hate you. And she just actually says that to everybody. She uses all of them for her own therapy. yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out, especially being split into 2 seasons. I was worried for the longest time that they were going to try to keep Pedro Pascal in the show as long as possible and maybe ruin this, but they went for it. I made a joke at the top of the show. I don't even remember if we were recording, but a lot of people quit playing the game when Joel died. And I wonder how many people are going to quit watching the show now that Pedro Pascal is not in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he only agreed to do this because they told him he would die. Because he's at a point in his career where he's not like a show guy,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a joke in an interview, like they promised me I would die, and he laughed. But like, I think that probably was what they said. Like, dude, you're not gonna. Don't worry, we need you for like 10 episodes. And he's like, okay.
Thank God.
I can't do 4 seasons of something right now. I got so many movie scripts.
I can't do this. I can't do Fantastic Four. I can't do Mandalorian Grogu. I can't do every single nerd thing under the sun.
I don't want to be a dick, but I am kind of a big deal.
I'm busy.
I'm in every single big franchise that exists. I'm Batman now. Nobody's told you yet, but
that just happened this week.
And Robin. It's weird. I'm going to try it. Yeah. So I was like, holy shit, they did it. They did the thing. So let's see where this goes. But I'm excited. I think I'm going to start replaying The Last of Us 2. I was telling Steve off air, but
you should.
That's one thing this show is doing, is making me really want to play the game again. So we'll see how that goes.
You should, man. It's good stuff.
It's a great game.
But thank you guys for listening. I know there's a lot of fucking bullshit podcasts, and we're one of them. Thank you for hanging in there. If you're not a big Streaming Things fan, we typically record in our studio together, but HBO fucked us and we don't have screeners, and so this is what we have to do. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry if this is kind of the vibes off, or it gets a lot cooler is all I'm trying to say. So check out our other stuff. Patreon.
Normally we're very good. This doesn't happen often, I swear.
Yeah, we would never say something like skull fucking normally. You can take our word for that if you don't listen to anything else. Email the show at streamingthingspod@gmail.com. Let us know how you're feeling, how you're coping. We'll be your Gale. You can have a little therapy session and process things with us.
Just give us the good shit.
Our next episode will be out Monday after episode 3. Is next episode wedding time or not? Was there one more?
So I will be out for the next 2 episodes.
And I will be out on episode 4. That's right.
Yes.
Andy's wedding. Gotcha. I just wanted to warn the audience on that as well. Our final episode for Midnight Mass should be dropping soon over on patreon.com/streamingthings. Game of Thrones is still rocking for season 5. Thank you guys for listening. We love you dearly. That's all the time we have for right now. We've got to go return some videotapes. My name is Kit.
Andy.
And I'm Steve.
And this was Streaming Things, streaming The Last of Us.
Happy streaming.